What is going on, everyone? Happy Friday. Hope all of you are doing well and hope everyone had a great week and hope everyone's doing, not doing, but hope everyone's having a great Friday night. So, today I wanted to do something pretty interesting. So, we all know blind buys. Blind buys are basically films we have never seen, and a lot of times we end up liking them or we don't, and sometimes we sell the movie off. Now, as of late, I've seen a lot of people doing rant videos on films they don't plan on seeing, and to me, I just feel like it's pointless. It's just it's a waste of time, energy, and to be honest with you, I don't need the blood pressure to go up. If I don't like a film, I may talk about my dissatisfaction about it, but I'm never gonna rant. I feel like rants are just pointless. But I feel like we have to give a movie a shot. I feel like we're getting to a point now we just nitpick way too much when it comes to a movie. I like to be entertained. That's my biggest thing. A movie can be bad, but if I'm entertained in some way, then I feel like it's worth it. It may not be a film I'm going to buy to add to my collection. Maybe there's a rare occasion where that could happen because I do get something out of it. But I'm more of the type who likes to be entertained regardless of how bad a film is. And I can use a great example, and that I believe it's The Bubble. This was a film that came out in 2020. It stars Pedro Pascal, Karen Gillan, and a lot of recognizable faces. And of course, this came out during 2020, and I felt like the jokes really ended up falling flat because I felt like it was just too soon. But I feel like if that movie came out now or like last year, I think it would have been a little bit better than what it was. It's kind of like the too soon type of jokes, where a joke happens after something major has happened, and where everybody's like, "No, that's too soon, too soon." Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. But I wanted to talk about 6 movies that I feel like people should check out. They're films that kind of fall under the radar. There's a lot of films like that. Some grow to be have a cult following, but I had to really dig throughout my collection, as you can see, to figure out what movies I wanted to talk about in this video. And this, if things go well, this may be you know, another a multi-video type of series. Is what I'm trying to get at. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to start off with the first one, and that is Big Stan. This is a very underrated Rob Schneider film. So we all know Rob Schneider, Saturday Night Live back in the 90s, one of my favorite eras of SNL, when him, Sandler, Spade, Farley, I mean, just that alone cast was fantastic. And he, was well known for doing the Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo films. He would show up in Adam Sandler's movies. And kind of the same formula, of course, Farley, he would have his own films, a few of them, not a whole lot. And Big Stan, I feel like, is one of those better films. Now, yes, The Animal, The Hot Chick, Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, European Gigolo, those 4 are fantastic and have become cult classics to a lot of people. And Big Stan, I feel like, should be one of those. Big Stan is just, it's so over the top, but in a very, very good way. It's got a lot of recognizable faces. I mean, it's kind of one of the last roles we get of David Carradine in a role that's so way out there. We get Jennifer Morrison, who's was really well known for doing the Once Upon a Time series. We get the late great, I believe it's Emmett Walsh. Um, I'm trying to look on the back here. Emmett Walsh, who sadly passed away, I believe, last year. He's in this as well. And there's a few other familiar faces. But basically, Rob Schneider's character, he tries to scam senior citizens out of their retirement, I believe, and he ends up getting caught, gets sentenced to prison, but he, hires the help of David Carradine's character to learn basically kung fu so that when he does go to prison, he can protect himself. And he does, and it kind of takes over the prison in some way. And just some of the characters he, meets in here are just ridiculous in a funny way. And it's a very entertaining film. Also, the actor who plays the grandfather in The Luck of the Irish, he's also in The Burbs. He's also in this. He plays actually Stan's roommate. So yeah, Big Stan's definitely one of those movies I would highly recommend you guys give it a shot. At least once. It might be a film you might be entertained by, or you might not, but at least give it a try. I think it's a fun one from him. The next one we have here is Don't Tell Her It's Me. So this is a really fun romantic comedy. I want to say it's from like the late no, it's from 1990, so it still has that late 80s feel. This stars Steve Guttenberg. We have Kyle McLaughlin, I believe is how you pronounce it, Jamie Gertz, and Shelley Long. So basically, Steve Guttenberg plays this cartoonist. I believe he does it for like newspapers. And Shelley Long is basically, is it Shelley Long? Yeah, just wanted to make sure I didn't mess up her name. Shelley Long plays his sister, plays the sister, and she's a big time writer. So she tries to get him back, into the field and kind of cheer up a little bit after he, has survived beating, cancer and things like that. And he meets Jamie Gertz's character, who I believe is a reporter. She's trying to do an article or some sort or story on his sister. And, he has a kind of interest for her. Shelley Long wants to hook them up. So they kind of give him this makeover, make him like this New Zealand biker of some sort. And yeah, it's just a fun, like, romantic comedy, but it's not one I hear people talk about. It's kind of one of those ones that fell under the radar. Took a while, I believe, to get a Blu-ray release. And it also goes under a different title as well, also called The Boyfriend School. I remember this one being like on streaming services way back in the day, but it's a really good one, and I would highly recommend you guys give it a shot. The next one here, so one of the interesting ongoing themes in like the early 2000s were the TV made biopics, and there was one that I really enjoyed. Now I will say this probably needs a more accurate updated version, because this one I believe came out like the early 2000s, 2001 to be exact. But it's the film Hysteria, the Def Leppard story. Now I remember watching this one, I think on like VH1 way back in the day, and it's basically the story of Def Leppard, but it only goes up to like a specific amount of time in their career. It doesn't like it's not like a 100% accurate like biopic of any sort. I think it leads up to at least their album Hysteria, I believe. And not everything is going to be 100% accurate, but it's a pretty decent biopic for a TV made movie. And if you are a fan of Def Leppard, then it's at least worth giving a watch. The actors in here I don't think are like well known. I don't think I've seen them in anything else. But I've always been a big fan of biopic films like Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, NWA. I mean, the list just goes on, and I'm excited for the Beatles one that we're supposed to be getting, as well as the potential Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath one. So yeah, definitely one I would highly recommend. The next one is a film that I wish would get a Blu-ray release. I would either like to see either Arrow, Scream Factory, Kino Lorber, maybe Umbrella Entertainment release this movie. I did a review for it, and one of the coolest things to ever happen is the director, I believe, messaged on my video, on my review, and I believe he said thanks, and then parentheses from the director, which is awesome. That's kind of like a full circle moment where you get acknowledged by somebody who made a film that you love so much. It's one of those ones that fell under the radar. I actually remember my dad renting this one way back in the day, and it has a really great cast. It's got Jeremy Piven in it, and Tim Daly, Sean Young. Sean Young was in what is it, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, but it's Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, which is one I remember, but like not everybody remembers it. Maybe there's like a select few, and we haven't gotten an updated version. This is basically like almost like a VHS rip. But basically, the main lead in this, he works for, I want to say like this company that's trying to make like women's perfume, and they're trying to make something like the next perfume that will work, and he has a relative, like an uncle, I believe, that ends up passing away, and he gets all like this science formula and paperwork from him. And what he comes to find out is that he's actually, I think a little spoiler alert before, let me backtrack before I say what's going to happen, because there are spoilers. Stop what you're doing, go watch this movie, then come back. This is not available on any streaming services, so you would probably have to find this online, or I believe you might find a copy on YouTube for free. All right, now let's get into the spoiler. You basically find out he is a Hyde. He is a long, ancestor of, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he recreates the formula and makes a little minor change, which turns him into a woman. So he can try to, get a woman's perspective in creating this formula. Of course, we all know the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We find out Mrs. Hyde's persona kind of wants to take over, so you kind of get the idea, but it's a fun one and a very underrated one. The next one here I saw back when Netflix was just starting out, and there's another film called 100 Women, which is basically kind of similar to this in a way, but it's the film 100 Girls, and it's got a really great cast. We have the likes of James DeBello, who's one of my favorite actors, very underrated. Great movies, Cabin Fever, Detroit Rock City. I mean, he's got small cameos in other films, like he's in American Pie. We got Jamie Presley, Larissa Olenek, Alex Max, and then we have Katherine Heigl, Marissa Ribisi, Jonathan Tucker. But basically, this young individual here, he meets this woman on an elevator. The power goes out. They have this connection, and I don't think he was paying attention to her when she was getting into the elevator, because I think she had a basket of laundry, so her face was covered. And as they're sitting there, the power goes out. But they end up having this connection, and then eventually, when the power goes on, I don't even think they even saw each other when they walked out. So he tries to figure out who this is, but at the same time, why he's doing this. Let me backtrack again. So he has to try to find a way to, figure out who it is. So he has to come up with like these different things. Like he pretends to be a maintenance person. But throughout the film, each person, each woman that he comes across, he helps them in some way, whether that's having confidence, having some type of confidence in themselves, or helping somebody with, a potential relationship. It just, each woman he meets has a problem of some sort, and he tries to help them while he's trying to find this woman. So it's a really fun movie. It's, in a way you can say it's a sex comedy, but at the same time it's a romantic comedy, but it's a fun one. And the actress here, I believe, is it this? No. Let me see if I can find it right here. This actress right here, she is in Superman and Lois, the CW series. So it was cool to see her in that. And then lastly, this one I remember again on being on Netflix during their early days of streaming. And this is what 2000, I believe it's like 2002, 2003, but it's going Greek. And it's got a great cast. You have the likes, the actor who played Sherman, the guy from the, the later like terrible scary movie films. You got the one dude from Numbers, and he's been in a whole other slew of films. I think he was in Carrie 2, The Rage, or The Rage Carrie 2, whatever you want to call it. He was also in, there's another film I remember seeing him in. I just can't remember. But basically, the dude here, what's his name? Dylan Bruno, and he's in Saving Private Ryan. So basically, he plays Jake Taylor. He attends this college that his cousin's at. His cousin's name is Gil, and basically, he's kind of there to kind of just keep an eye on him. Gil's kind of a nerd in some way and doesn't have a whole lot of confidence. And basically, like typical comedy movies, you got the bully in the film that they got to deal with. They both try to pledge, joining this fraternity. crap ends up happening to them. But at the same time, they end up meeting some friends that are trying to pledge too. There's a few recognizable faces, I will say that. I think the actor who plays Eddie Winslow from Family Matters is in this. And then there's one actor, you'll see him in pretty much everything. I think he's in that, what's that series where the guy uh, ends up finding out he has a baby and uh, oh my god, it's got Cloris Leachman as the grandmother, and it's not Malcolm in the Middle; it's the other one because the mom, I believe, is played by the actress from The Goonies. Um, you guys might know what exactly I'm talking about. He works at like a, I want to say where he drives a van. He's in a convenience store. The woman he was with got pregnant and she went to prison. And his best friend kind of became his love interest. But the one, I don't even think he's on the cover of this. No. But it's the actor, he's kind of like this like pothead type of character. But he shows up in everything. And he plays the same character. You guys might know exactly who I'm talking about, and he's got a couple scenes in here that are just totally out there. But it's a fun one. It's weird. It's over the top, but it's enjoyable for what it is. I've always had a weird sense of humor when it comes to films like this. But nonetheless, those are the 6 films that I feel like you guys should at least give it a shot. They're pretty interesting ones. You got some good, comedy, romantic comedies. You got sex comedies over the top. But yeah, definitely worth checking out to say the least. So thank you guys so much. If you haven't seen them, definitely give them a shot. I think you guys will enjoy them in some way. And if not, at least you can say you got to at least experience them. And if you have seen them, please let me know what your thoughts are on any of these films. I would love to hear your opinion on it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. I think I have more people who watch my video who are not subscribed, so please subscribe. It helps me out and it's much appreciated. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps out as well, and don't be shy to comment down below. And if you guys would like to take the time to check out my eBay store, Mikey's Thrift, I will put the link down in the description below, and you guys can go check that out. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Film Talk with Mikey, and until next time, we'll talk films. Thanks for watching.